Hello, my seventh grade scholars. Welcome to this review of European unity as well as a little bit about précis. So let's take a look. Reminder, we are doing writing this term about nonfiction pieces. So a précis, as a review, is a concise summary of essential points, statements, or facts. So it's going to be a 4-sentence paragraph. So a concise summary, not paraphrasing of what it was all about, but a summary, and there will be 4 very specific things that you will be writing about. Then there's the author's purpose, and these are all terms that are your lit terms that you will be on your midterm and your final. I found a way to hopefully have you remember 5 basic purposes of the author's purpose. So the author's purpose is the overall reason for the text. Why is he writing this? Why is she writing this? The overall reason for the text is the author's purpose. 5 basic purposes. Pined, P-I-N-E-D. Pinned would be 2 N, so it's pined. So P-I-N-E-D. We have persuade, so the purpose would be to persuade someone, to convince the audience, to inform, writing that's just meant to explain or inform, and then narrate, telling a story, writing meant to tell a story. E would be entertain, just purposes to entertain, make people laugh, and then D would be to describe, writing meant to express sensation or feeling, like descriptive writing. There are only 5. You might need to choose in multiple choice which one does not belong. So remember the 5. Pined, P-I-N-E-D, persuade, inform, narrate, entertain, and describe. Before we write a précis, before we write those 4 sentences that are a concise summary of essential points, statements, and facts, we need to understand our text. So you've already done a lesson where you listened to the speech. Now I'm going to do just a quick little overview for anything that you might have missed, looking at the text specifically. So European Unity by George C. Marshall. This speech was given at Harvard during a graduation, at a commencement, but he did not give his speech at the commencement. He did it after lunch when there were very specific people there, the graduates, the friends, the alumni of these few people that were receiving honorary degrees. And so these were the people that were the elite. These were the people that were going to push his plan into reality. So his audience was a certain group of people that would help make this happen. So when you write your précis, sometimes the information is not going to come in the exact order that you write, that you want to write your précis. So when you, that'll be sentence 4 that you write about the audience, but here it is right at the beginning of the speech. So let's take a quick look. So when he gives this speech, he points out that it's clear that there's a serious situation going on in the world, and it's difficult for Americans to really understand. And what are the reasons that it's difficult for Americans to understand what's happening in Europe? Well, one of the problems is that press and radio make it difficult for just the man on the street or the regular old person to really understand the situation. We're not there as Americans. Furthermore, so here's another reason, the people of this country are distant from the troubled areas of the earth. So there's so much privilege here that they can't quite comprehend the plight and the consequent reactions of the long suffering of people. So we don't totally get it as Americans what's happening somewhere else. And so those are 2 of the main reasons. It's hard to really understand what's happening when you're not right in the thick of it. So this is all his first paragraph here. It goes on to a second page. And he basically is trying to convince or persuade this group of people that Europe has had a difficulty, and it is our job, it is America's job to help Europe. We should help Europe. And so he points out that there's this requirement of rehabilitation for Europe. They've had this loss of cities, factories, a physical loss of life, mines, railroads. And so we get that there were problems there, but he says that that's not even as serious as the whole fabric of the European economy. So there's this big problem with how everything works together, the cities and the farms, and how this economy, how all of Europe can grow as countries altogether. So we get that there are problems, but he's saying there's this more serious problem in the economy. So again, he points out how there are all these difficulties and there's this breakdown of the business structure, and it's pretty complete. Like they are devastated. So, but even given a more prompt solution of these difficult problems, the rehabilitation of the economic structure of Europe quite evidently, so he's speaking very confidently, that's persuasive language, quite evidently will require a much longer time and greater effort than had been foreseen. So this will take a long time for them to recover. So then he points out that there's this phase, and I kind of covered it just a little bit, where you have these farmers that they have plenty of food. So we've got in the yellow section here, we've got a farmer who might not have all the gadgets of civilization, of clothing and machinery, but they'll have plenty of food. So they'll see a lot of food for himself and family. There'll be ample supply of food. However, they might be short on other things because the cities and the rural areas aren't able to trade with each other because they just don't have enough to share and trade and help each other in their economy. So that's what this whole section is about. It's not good for the world. So if he can convince us if Marshall can convince us that this isn't good for everybody, we might just buy into it, right? If we're the audience. So there's this need, America, principally from America, we need to help, give this additional help. So the truth of the matter is that Europe's requirement for the next 3 or 4 years of foreign food and other essential products, principally from America, so we're supposed to be providing this, are so much greater than her, meaning Europe's, present ability to pay that she must have substantial additional help. That's where America comes in. Or these are the consequences, face economic, social, and political deterioration of a grave character. So it will be serious if we don't help. This is persuasive language convincing us that we should go and help Europe after World War II. We want to restore the confidence of Europe so that they can be successful. It's good for the world. It is logical that the United States should do whatever it is able to do to assist in the return of normal economic health in the world, without which there could be no political stability and no assured peace. So if we do not help, if America does not help, there will be no political stability and no assured peace. So there's a big responsibility. So we know that there's hunger and poverty and desperation and chaos, and these are all things that are going to be convincing, and these are all examples of things that we would be helping with. Any government, so this whole section right here, he talks about any government or country that is against what we do, we will not help them. And this is powerful for people to know that we are serious about helping those who need our help, but if anyone tries to stand in our way, we will not let them. They will see opposition from the United States. Let's see, where do we have? 3 more paragraphs. So here we have, it would be neither fitting nor efficacious. So it wouldn't be effective or a good idea for this government to undertake to draw up unilaterally a program designed to place Europe on its feet economically. This is the business of the Europeans. So if we decide to try and help them and they say, no, we don't want your help, that's silly. So we've got to then put it on the Europeans to say, yes, please, that would be wonderful, help us out. So then he talks about Europe is going to make that decision. And he says at the very end, with foresight or predicting what might happen in the future, and a willingness on the part of our people to face up to the vast responsibility. So again, this persuasive talk of there's a responsibility on our shoulders, which history has clearly placed upon our country. It is our duty. The difficulties I have outlined can and will be overcome. So this is a persuasive speech. He points out and gives examples of the things that are going on and the ways that we can help, and then puts it on our shoulders. as a way of we've got to do our duty. That's who we are as Americans. And it will help the world. And who doesn't want to help the world, right? So, again, persuasive speech here. We will get into the 4 specific sentences that we are going to write in a précis. I'll start with 2 in the next lesson.